Thank you very much for that, Gareth. Well, Soweto derbies are just about wrapped, but of course we still have a packed FNB Stadium. Now, those who don't make it to the stadium watch the match at venues across the country. Kate Nokwe has got the pleasure of doing that this afternoon. She's at Farmers Market in Fourways, where there's a fan event focused on the derby. Kate, I can imagine that fans are not particularly happy because I can imagine that we all wanted a winner outside of this evening's derby. 1-1 is the final score, but what is the sentiment on the ground and what are fans feeling at this stage?
Well, as you can imagine, Kaizer Chiefs fans were much happier after that penalty, which gave him a first-half lead. Well, which gave him a lead in the match. And then Orlando Pirates, they became the life of this party when they wrapped up the match, as you might say, with that Thembi Nkosi goal, which was a brilliant goal, if I may add, because everyone here was a bit nervous if there was way too many touches. But he got the consolation goal for Orlando Pirates, which actually leveled the match in this first Soweto derby of 2019. But to just wrap things up, I am joined by Kickoff Magazine digital editor Tshepang Mailwane, just to give us a wrap-up of how he saw the match. He was also sitting with us here at the Farmers Market, courtesy of Vodacom. Tshepang, fair scoreline?
I think it is. If you look at the performance from both teams, it wasn't a classic Soweto derby. I mean, last year we were treated to 3 wins from the Orlando Pirates side when we were used to seeing draws in the derby. So it looks like now we're going back to the days where there's draws in this game. I was a bit surprised, firstly, with the lineup of Orlando Pirates to see Wayne Sunderland starting. I didn't expect that. We've been seeing Mponjane and Mabohwane starting games in the past, but Sunderland came in after the Champions League game, and then they brought in Akpe, the Kaizer Chiefs side, and I think he'd be very happy with the performance. He didn't get a clean sheet today, but I think he'd be happy with how things have started with him at Kaizer Chiefs, because you know they haven't been too sure about Virgil Freeze ever since Itumela Nkuna got injured. So I think it's a fair result looking at the performance. It wasn't a classic.
Tshepang, you mentioned earlier off air that now Orlando Pirates have played all their goalkeepers in this last 3 derbies. What does that say to you about the state of mind of where they're looking at their goalkeepers and the progression? Also, what's happened to Brilliant Khuzwayo?
It's strange because I interviewed the goalkeeper coach, Andrew Sparks, at the beginning of the season, and he spoke about having a number 1 goalkeeper, consistent number 1 goalkeeper, and that hasn't been the case. They played all 3 goalkeepers, and for me, if you're side challenging for the league, you need to have a consistent goalkeeper, one that you can rely on in every game. Yes, everybody wants to play, and you may be trying to, please everyone in terms of giving them confidence of playing, but I prefer having 1 goalkeeper that you can rely on. Maybe they don't have a goalkeeper that they can rely on. And with Brilliant, he's been there, he's been injured, and now he's been playing some MDC games. He's trying to get his confidence back in the MDC. I think the only time we're going to see Brilliant now is next season, because he had a surgery in that first half of the season, and now maybe he's working his way back into the team, and we'll probably only see him next season.
I'm going to bring Joseph Dladla in just a second, but I just need you to tell me, he was saying it's not a penalty. It was a soft penalty. How did you say it?
I think I agree, but I think what let Pirates down is Mbegile's decision there. I mean, Kamabellet was turning; he was no longer a threat to Kaizer Chiefs. He actually had cover from Dengane, so I'm surprised that Mbegile went in for that tackle. And you know what happens in such games? Sometimes there's pressure from the fans. You never know, the referee, feels the pressure from the fans and gives a penalty. I don't think it was a penalty, but because of the situation in the derby, I'm not surprised that it was given.
Faith, let me just bring in Joseph Dladla, who's of course have played for Kaizer Chiefs. He's going to just quickly give us his analysis of the game, and if that was a penalty, because that's the very first thing that he was asked, and he was the first one to say, even though I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm not sure if that was not a penalty. Just tell our ENCF viewers why it was not a penalty.
Sure. What it is, obviously, I think it was too soft. It was a big decision from a referee. Obviously, like we always want referees to do that, and they're scared. And this new referee comes in and he takes that decision. But I think it was a bit soft because obviously, like it was 1 strike against 3 defenders. As much as if he was alone, it was a 1-on-1, I would understand. And also he was going back towards his goals. And you can. This is a contact sport. If I put my hand on you, it can be a foul. Are you saying we shouldn't touch each other? But I gotta admit, okay, it is a goal. We gotta accept it. Obviously, Chiefs had to take it. They scored brilliant penalty from Cardoso. He took it all. But, for me, I think it was a soft penalty.
You mentioned the influence of Mulenga, who obviously didn't play the first half and was brought in. What kind of influence? You did say, we're speaking off air just now, about how even before he was brought on, that you don't understand why he's not starting, because he's the kind of man who can change a game around. Did he today?
Yeah, you saw when he came on, you could see Pirates obviously be more in control of the game. They were asking more questions than Kaizer Chiefs. Going forward, you could see they were more calmer, because he's the one who's always creating chances for them. He's the most assist player in the Pirates team. And you put him on the bench against Kaizer Chiefs, it didn't make sense. And the next thing they score against you, you put him on. Now you start believing that he can get you a goal. Why put the most trusted man on the bench if you think that he can do the job for you? Put him on, and if he doesn't do well, then you can take him out.
Ernst Middendorp tried to consolidate that one goal. Maybe Tsepang, we can just talk about that one goal by putting on a more defensive play before Orlando Pirates equalized. Was that a good decision? Was that too early, maybe?
I think it was too early. You bring Katsande on for Castro in the 65th minute. There's still 25 minutes to go, and you've got Orlando Pirates side that has Vincent Pule, Thembi Nkosi Lodge. If they get that opportunity to attack, they're going to attack you. And you look at the amount of chances Chiefs created after Castro went off, it was very little. They didn't threaten Orlando Pirates at all. So I think the coach made a blunder there in bringing Katsande on too early, because if they had Castro, he'd be up front, just creating problems. He's a hard worker. He doesn't score a lot, but he's a hard worker. So I think the coach made a blunder there in bringing Katsande on a bit too early. Maybe if it was the 80th minute, there's 10 minutes to go, you're trying to defend that lead, it would have worked. But 25 minutes is too much for an attacking side like Orlando Pirates.
Which of the two coaches is happier today?
I don't think any of them will be happier, because you look, Vets lost. It was a chance for both of them to try and close that gap. If I were to pick one, I think it's Micho. They wouldn't have wanted to lose this game. They came back. They got a draw. It is away from home. So I think if I were to pick one, I think it's Micho.
Do you agree, Joseph?
For me, I think the most frustrated coach at the moment would be Ernst, because you were leading, and obviously your plan worked against you. Obviously, you wanted to defend. You thought you had the game, down and out. But the next thing, then your team stop play. But the only way to defense is to attack, and you're taking out your best man up there who was holding Pirates from coming at you. And once you took him out, then Pirates started playing. So I think he's probably frustrated with the decision that he made.
Thank you both, gentlemen. Well, Faith, you've heard it here from the two men who are watching the game closely for different reasons. And there's so many fans here at Farmers Market who are still a bit torn about whether to celebrate or still be like, it's one of those where we actually share the spoils. But the party continues here at Farmers Market. I'll see you guys in studio in just a couple of hours.
Well, thank